Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Mel. I grew up playing outside.
And I grew up doing something meaningful, watching movies and TV.
I never had cable, and we finally bought a VCR about the same time DVD players hit the market.
Throughout our marriage, Mel has sadly missed many of my pop culture references and movie quotes.
So it's time to catch up on all the films I missed.
Good evening.
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Melissa. How are you?
I'm great. I'm kind of in the mood for a movie. What about you?
I am always in the mood for a movie. I could have just come from a movie and I would still be in the mood to watch a movie. That's pretty true form. So, do you know what we're watching this evening?
I have no idea. Not a clue.
You would think I would get sick of asking you that, but I'm always proud of myself when you have no idea. Because I do go to great lengths to keep you in the dark about these things.
It's true.
So, okay. Wow. Well, I am feeling wacky and a bit quacky today, which is kind of reflected in the movie selection.
Howard the Duck.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Slow clap.
I'll take it.
I can't tell you how proud I am of you.
Your eyes are shining.
This is like I'm giving clues. The past couple times I've given clues and you've gotten them like right away. So, wow. It's almost like if you know someone for 2 decades, you can start to communicate with them well. It's very strange. Have you ever heard of this film?
I have heard of this film.
What's it about? What do you think?
I don't know. The only thing I know about Howard the Duck is he did a cameo in one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Okay.
And he was kind of like, not Mickey Mouse sort of cartoon.
Okay.
He's a cartoon.
Okay.
He was more like a kind of a crass, smoking, I don't know. He gave off a different vibe. So I'm like wondering what this movie is going to be about.
First off, I'm feeling like Job from Arrested Development when Michael says he does tricks. He's like, they're illusions. Like, calling Howard the Duck a cartoon to me is like, excuse me, he's a comic book character. So, anyway.
Pardon moi.
That's okay. It's okay.
Okay. So.
Sorry, I have a little pluck in my step tonight. I apologize.
Is it because you're feeling ducky?
It's because I'm feeling ducky. That's true.
Okay, but isn't he animated?
He is, yes.
Okay.
Well, you mean like CGI in the movie you were talking about? Or?
No, I mean, if he's animated, doesn't that make him a cartoon?
Ooh. You're striking all the geek... No, you're pushing my geek buttons. Are you messing with me right now?
I'm just bringing... I think I'm arguing a fair point.
No, animation, correct. But because you're animated, that doesn't make you a cartoon.
What would you say about Roger Rabbit?
Roger Rabbit is animated.
Okay.
He's a cartoon. He's a cartoon.
Okay. So to me, they're in the same playing field. Like
That's fair.
Because I don't know anything about Howard the Duck. So that's where I'm at right now.
You will learn. So if he's animated, what do you think the movie tonight's going to be about?
I don't know. I'm wondering, like, is it how, like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? There's like live action with animation overlapping.
Have you seen that movie, by the way?
Yeah, like once.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Okay.
Which is like my answer to everything.
Everything, yes.
So, yeah, I don't really know what to expect. Is he a detective? Howard the Duck? I want to say, I'm just going to go with that.
Okay.
I think he's a detective. It's kind of film noir.
Okay.
And he's going to try to solve something, and it's going to be both personal for him.
Oh.
You know, and there might be some monologuing.
Monologuing? Okay.
That's all I can predict. I don't know.
All right. Any other details about location or anything else?
Oh, well, film noir should happen in the city. So let's go with San Francisco.
San Francisco. That's a great choice, actually.
Okay.
That's a great choice. Sorry.
It is.
I've seen film noir movies that take place in San Francisco, so great choice.
New York is an obvious choice, so I wanted to go a little off the beaten path.
Okay, so any other details before I ask you my favorite question for the first part?
Oh, go ahead. Okay. I'm dreading this question.
What would your movie poster for this movie? look like? And tagline.
Okay, so it's okay, so he's like smoking. It's a silhouette of him in an office, with like lights coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a film noir
of
thing. He's in his office, and maybe at the door you see the shadow of someone.
What kind of person? Just male, female?
Like probably a voluptuous female.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or someone in a trench coat.
Okay.
Could go either way. And the tagline is... What do you say about a duck? I don't know.
I'm just waiting for a duck pun, honestly.
Okay, here you go. He's just waddling through.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
I do have one more question, though, that I need to ask before we go.
Okay.
There's a very, very famous movie person who is responsible for this film. Do you know who it is? And if you don't, I want you to guess. Please.
I don't know who the brilliant mind is behind bringing Howard the Duck to film.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm going to guess... My first thought was Steven Spielberg.
Okay. Is that your final answer?
No. Hold on. Let me search for another
name.
You
want to phone a friend?
Can I do that?
No, you can't.
You shouldn't offer things you can't do.
I was just doing a spoof of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Well, let's go with... Oh, I don't know. No, I don't have anything. That was a lot of buildup.
That was not all it was cracked up to be.
Do you know what keeps popping into my mind?
What?
One of my favorite sort of film noir shows.
Okay.
The Expanse.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so I keep thinking of that guy. I don't remember his name. Miller. Yeah. And so also
I was... Great show.
It was... Oh my gosh, it's such a good show. I want to start. Let's rewatch it. So I was trying to think of like a director who would be, I don't know. We'll just go with Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg. Let's go check it out.
All right, let's do it. Or Howard Hughes. Howard the Duck. Howard Hughes.
Wow. I'm not even going to go there.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Across the sea of stars lies another world, a world almost exactly like ours. This is where he lives. He's 27 years old, single but searching. Favorite sports, windsurfing and Aikido. Favorite pastimes, cigars and sex. He has everything except fulfillment. And then one night, it happens.
Hey, good buddy, are you home?
He has a very sudden midlife crisis. He lands in Cleveland.
You do know why you were sent to me?
Listen to me, small visitor. I can explain how you got here.
Maybe you're here for some greater purpose, some cosmic cause.
Here, he's forced to reassess his career goals.
You went to med school?
To explore new relationships. To redefine his self-image.
I'm sorry, we don't allow pets on the premises.
To adjust to a changing lifestyle.
Oh, pull it out!
Until he discovers just who he really is.
Oh, no.
A duck in big trouble.
That's a duck, man!
Howard the Duck, trapped in a world he never made. Coming from George Lucas, a Willard Hike film, a Gloria Katz.
Ain't no way we can seal it. I'm sorry. The song Howard the Duck is in my head. Ain't no way to conceal it. I'm pretty sure that's the lyrics. So there's no way to conceal that we have now watched Howard the Duck.
That was a movie that we watched.
That was a movie that we watched. We have never watched a movie together like that movie, I'm pretty sure.
Nope. Wow.
Can you please go ahead? Sorry.
First of all, it was George Lucas.
It was George Lucas.
And I knew, so after we hung up the preamble, it occurred to me, I bet it's George Lucas because he does like,
creature features.
Yeah. Animatronics, puppets and whatever. And so that was George Lucas. And now I'm like, what was he thinking.
I think it was the genesis of Jar Jar Binks, personally. This is where the seed of Jar Jar Binks began in his mind.
Well, he liked the comic.
He did. I've never read the comic, so maybe the comic's good. But, why don't you give us a summary of this film real quick?
Wow. Okay, so first of all, I thought it would be animated, but it was like all live action with puppet and like masks and like all of that stuff and makeup.
Yep. Did
the job of making us believe that a duck came from outer space.
Yeah, a guy in a suit with stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it starts out so confusing. You're in this other world. You're in someone's apartment. And it's like a duck world. It's like our world.
Yes.
Right? Where they have, instead of Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's a poster on the wall. Breeders?
I think it was
Breeders of the Lost Egg or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's like a duck Indiana Jones.
Yes.
And like everything that we have, they have in duck form.
Yes.
All the movies and like whatever.
Mm-hmm. Budweiser. They literally had beer. Tiny duck beers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in this world and I'm thinking, wait, I thought, is this all going to be in this duck world?
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were going to be in like our world with a duck. What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So you get to know Howard a little bit and you see a little bit of his apartment and what his life looks like. And he sits down and starts watching TV and nothing good is on. But all of the shows are like our shows, but with ducks. It's kind of like watching a Muppets episode, actually.
Okay.
Muppets do that a lot.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Pigs in space. So anyway, he's just sitting in his chair, drinking a beer after a long day of work.
Who doesn't, right? Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's like a storm and earthquake, I think, and him and his chair get sucked through the wall. It's almost like this force is just pulling him, boom, 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 through the apartment walls, out into the air and up into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you see him go through this like reddish tube that leads into outer space.
Which, keep going. Sorry, keep going.
And then
so many things.
There's another reddish tube that he goes into, which is like into our world.
Right.
And so he kind of like, so he gets sucked out of his world through the tube, through space, and then he gets sucked down through another tube into our world and deposited in Cleveland, Ohio.
In Cleveland, Ohio.
Where everyone who sees him freaks out because he's like...
Rightfully so.
A walking, talking duck.
Yes.
Who's about the size of an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
That's how the movie starts. And then I can't
wait to hear how you're going to summarize the rest.
Okay. So hijinks ensue because he has to figure out how to get home. This woman who's in an 80s band takes pity on him and takes him home and befriends him, tries to help him, but I don't know how to describe him. He doesn't take the help very well. He gets frustrated.
Sure. I mean, I definitely would too if I were all of a sudden plucked from my world. There were a lot of puns in this movie too, by the way.
Yes.
And then put into a completely different world with all these different rules and different, that'd be crazy. I could see why he's grumpy. I guess is my point.
Okay. So things happen. They kind of like, he helps her with her manager problem. He basically fires the manager and takes over managing her band.
Yeah.
Gets them the money that they deserved. She has a friend who's a goofy, clueless scientist who tries to kind of like capitalize on this
Tim
discovery.
Robbins. Yeah.
And then they figure it out. They're going to turn the machine back on and send him back.
Well, they figure out there's a machine.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's a good point.
There's a machine that brought him here, and there's a local like Cleveland scientist, whatever, Dyna, whatever Corp, some 80s sounding science name.
Welcome to Dynacorp.
Yes. And then then they were doing experiments and sucked him to the earth.
So they turn the machine on after, they turn the machine on. It takes them a while to get back there and, all these things go wrong.
Right.
But when they turn it on, there's this lead scientist who like disappears, and like, what happened to him?
Yeah.
And nothing happened. He didn't get sucked back, but it turns out they sucked a demon out of yet another alternate universe.
Or somewhere in space, yeah.
And the demon landed in the scientist who they thought had disappeared.
Yes.
And then it becomes this like, he's this demon trying to take over.
Yes.
And he wants to bring all his demon friends with him.
Yes.
And then it just goes in this crazy direction of what I just described.
Right.
And they have to fight the demon, and they do, because they have this awesome, what was it called?
I don't even remember. The deatomizer?
Deatomizer.
The gun?
Yeah, they have this gun that just like deatomizes whatever you shoot it at.
It was apparently not all it was quacked up to be.
Oh my God.
But it worked for these purposes. I almost said poultryces. Oh, bird puns.
Wow.
Well, you can cry foul play at any point. Keep going.
At this point, you're just flapping your lips.
I really am. Send me a bill.
Stop.
Okay, so finish the summary, please.
I think I'm done. So they defeat the demon overlord.
Yes.
And they have to, he had just already called his demon friends.
Yes.
And they were on their way, and they're like coming down the tube.
Yes.
And they're like, oh no, I have to destroy the machine.
Yes.
And that's his only hope of getting back. So now he destroys the machine and he stays on Earth.
Stays on Earth.
And he becomes the band manager, and they become successful.
Yes.
And the end.
Do you know how hard it was for me to listen to you saying that and not point out the things that were driving me insane? It was very difficult.
Okay, what were some of your biggest problems with this movie?
Oh, sorry. So many. But a lot of them are nerdy ones. Like the fact that they're using a tube to get him, there's no oxygen, whatever, suspend disbelief. Well, before I go into this, because I want you to know why I picked this movie. Oh,
I do want to know why you picked this
There's two reasons why I picked this movie. One, I've never seen it. I've only heard about it, and I heard it was not the greatest, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try.
You're always out for the underdog.
I am out for the underdog. But the real reason I picked it was on the day that you're listening to this podcast airs, it's May 2nd, 2024. And 18 years ago today, Iron Man was released in theaters, which started the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it today.
I just got goosebumps.
So it's the 18-year anniversary of the Marvel Cinematic Universe starting. And this movie is the very first Marvel feature-length film that was in cinemas. So
is Howard the Duck a Marvel?
Yes, he's a Marvel comic.
What?
Mm-hmm. That's why you saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy as an Easter egg.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So, comic to film adaptation.
Yes.
Can you think of a worse comic to film adaptation than this one?
Man, the first one that pops in my mind is any Fantastic Four movie, because I always want the Fantastic Four to be great because it works in the comics, but in the movies, they just always seem to fall flat. They're like, okay, but they're not worse than this. This is pretty bad.
Do you think this is the bottom?
I think this is probably the worst one I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think they would have done better if they had animated it?
No. No, I don't. The story in this thing was all over the map.
It was.
When you're watching it, before they try to get him home, and that's when the demon thing comes. Like, you're like, where is this movie going? Like, there's no conflict. There's like this weird love situation that's happening between him and the main character, and she's fallen in love with him, and they're flirting and all this stuff, and you're kind of like, you had some interesting responses to that.
Well, I was like, how far are they going to take this weird human-duck relationship? They had this music.
It was very
intimate.
Sultry.
And yeah, like there was like caressing.
Yes.
And they're in bed together.
I mean, birds have very soft feathers in her defense. I mean, I have chickens, and I don't do the things that happen in this movie with my chickens. I pick them up, though, so I know how they feel. Their feathers are very soft.
Well, I'm glad you don't do the things that are done in this movie.
Me too.
No one should. So
Yeah.
The story was all over the place.
The story was all over the place. And then once the demons came back, like, it just felt like there were holes. I mean, the whole big culmination at the end there, like, first off, the acting was just, there was a lot of overacting in the movie.
Yeah.
It was a bit hard-boiled. Sorry.
That joke was cracked.
I just wanted to see the look on your face if I did another one. I'm done. So there was a lot of overacting, which was probably intentional because of, like, it was made in the 80s and it was based off of a comic. So, like, they probably thought they needed to be comic-y, which is like, you were asking me the difference between animation and cartoons. Mm-hmm. They made a cartoon movie. They did not make, like, an animation comic book movie to me. Like, it was like this weird, like, it just felt like it was trying to be, I don't know, too over the top. And really, you needed to play a movie like this pretty seriously. You could have jokes with it and stuff, but it shouldn't be slapsticky. The slapstick did not hit me right when I was watching. There was a lot of slapstick in it.
Yeah, there was a part, it's towards the end, where, like, the demon is in a diner.
Yes.
And the police come because he blows the place up, and the demon runs away with the girl. Mm-hmm. And the scientist and Howard kind of try to get over to this place where the machine is.
Yes.
And the only way they can think of to do it is they find this, like, person's hobby airplane.
Yeah, it's a glider, right? Like a little mechanized glider.
Right. It's a 2-seater. It has, like, 3 wheels, and it kind of gets off the ground. It's really small.
Yeah.
Like, it would come up probably, like, to your waist if you stood by it, or maybe a little higher.
Yeah.
So that then thus ensued the longest flight scene that you've ever seen. And we were kind of like, when is this going to end?
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes.
Yes. But at that point, it was so slapstick and over the top.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, was this supposed to be a kid's movie? It felt like a kid's movie at that point. It felt like Sonic. Mm-hmm. Like the bad guy, Jim Carrey from Sonic, and his
over
craziness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even his was like, it's more composed.
Yeah.
This was just kind of a mess. And like,
it didn't know what it wanted to be. The movie didn't feel like it knew what it wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, that happens a lot of times. There'll be competing ideas about what script should be and what ideas and themes they should have in it. But this one felt a lot like that.
Well, we watched a behind the scenes, like a making of, and like some of the producers and writers were talking about it. And it didn't seem like they had any problems knowing what the movie was supposed to be. So I think just, I don't know.
Well, the beginning, they said they didn't want to make the beginning part where they explain how Howard got there. But I was like, that was the best part of the movie. Like, literally, like, bookends. If you want to watch this movie, watch the first 5 minutes and then watch the last 5 minutes. And then it's actually not bad.
Or treat it like a Mystery Science Theater. Oh. Like, how many cracks can you make about it?
Like, seriously, when we were watching the behind the scenes, I was like, I kind of want to watch this again.
Oh, no.
No, what? I want to watch it again because now that I know it's bad and I have no expectation of it being good or trying to have it be good, I could watch it and just have fun with it.
Yeah,
like, there's so much that's bad about it. It'd be like watching The Room. Like, you going to see it in a theater where people say certain lines and stuff would be fun if it became such a thing. But anyway.
Okay, Howard the Duck himself. I kept, when we did our preamble and before I watched the movie, I thought maybe he was like a crass character.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that wasn't quite accurate. Like, not so much crass. And since then, I've been trying to like describe his character with adjectives.
Okay.
Help me out. So I feel like he's sarcastic. He's very sarcastic.
He's a bit curmudgeon-y.
A bit. Yeah, he complains a lot.
Yeah.
He's a womanizer.
Yeah. Like, ladies' man is another way to say that. That's two sides of the same coin.
But there's something about him that's just annoying. And he has like his eyes reminded me of a young Macaulay Culkin. I don't know why.
Macaulay Culkin, yeah.
Okay. Kevin McAllister.
Yeah, I'm sure he appreciates that too.
But so what is it about him that makes him so annoying? Because there are other characters in other movies that try to do the same thing that are not annoying.
Yeah.
And why did he fall so flat?
I think it was because it was the slapstickiness. I really do. Like, it felt like the pacing of the movie and how the delivery of the lines were hitting were like just to make puns, you know? So he would say things and they would be clearly puns. And it's like, unless you're a very specific kind of mythical creature that can only speak in puns, like even a person on a duck world, they're not going to make puns all the time. You know what I mean? You're still going to be a normal, quote unquote, duck. So I think that was it. I really liked the animatronics. I thought it looked really cool. It actually, for the time, it looked pretty advanced to me.
Like, you mean of Howard himself? Of
Howard himself. That holds up pretty well. I think it holds up pretty well.
I think that's where the problem is. Mm-hmm. I think that's where like he doesn't come across because I feel like he doesn't have emotion. Like I'm comparing like in my mind.
His eyes were a little dead.
Yeah. And when he talked, like his mouth it moves, but it doesn't emote. So like for me, I think that was a big part of it, why he was just so grating. Yeah. I was trying to think of like other characters and I thought of Harry and the Hendersons. Okay. And Harry, that
was like Oscar worthy stuff. His was amazing.
I know, but he had like full range of motion on his face. Short Circuit. Like
robot though, so
but still kind of the same idea that I'm going for. Like I think that he was because we didn't see emotion. Okay. And like that, I think part of that was.
I think his character too is he's supposed to be just like a human but a duck. So you have a high emotional expectation out of a character like that versus like a robot. You know what I mean? Which just happens to be learning about emotions, that kind of thing. So maybe that factors into it too. All right, there's a couple things that I learned about this movie, okay? One is you should be really happy this movie was made.
Okay, why?
Because first off, we're not alone. The people of the world spoke, and the budget for this $37 million film in 1985 or 86, $37 million, the gross worldwide all over the planet was $37,962. So 37 million, almost 38 million. So they made about $1 million, which I'm sure just got obliterated with advertising costs and stuff. So wow. it didn't make any money. And people kind of, voted with their purchasing power. But the thing that you should be thankful for about this movie is, this is according to reports and yada yadas, right? George Lucas, he had just built a $50 million Skywalker Ranch complex, right?
I'm aware of it.
And he was counting on this movie to get him back in the black, like to make money again. Oh. So he was like, hey, I just spent all this money, went into debt. Well, Howard Duck's going to save us.
Oh, poor George.
When it bombed, he was forced to just start selling off assets to stay afloat. And his friend Steve Jobs, you may know him, CEO of Apple Corporation, right?
The name rings a bell. Yeah.
He offered to help by buying Lucasfilm's newly launched CGI animation division for a price
Pixar
well above market value. Lucas was like, yes, great, I agree, you can have it. The division is what became Pixar. So, arguably, Pixar may have never existed if Howard the Duck had not bombed. And Pixar has just done amazing stuff. So
yeah. Oh, wow.
It may have done it either way, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I like that because sometimes we see over and over again, and I think right now in our culture, there's a lot of like stories like this where we're from history, right? Of people who tried and failed. And like from the failure can come even better success. So
that's the history of science, learning and knowledge, really. You just got to keep failing and then eventually hit stuff. Yep.
Do you know what I learned about this movie?
What?
If you watch it with your eyes closed.
Okay, I'm interested.
Instead of whoever voiced Howard the Duck, you could hear Steve Buscemi. I swear his voice sounded just like a young Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, you kept trying to see who the actors were. Yes, that was one of them. Oh, wow. I was shocked when I was watching the credits and Leah Thompson actually did all the singing.
Yeah.
Like that, I was just really surprised. She did pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah. And there was another actor in it, Jeffrey Jones. It was weird to see him as nice. He was, except when he was occupied by the demon, his main character was really a nice guy. And I'm so used to seeing him in like like roles where he's stern or whatever.
The jerk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was nice to see him nice.
It's funny. I got a movie for you if you like seeing him nice.
Okay.
We can revisit that too. I'll add it to the list.
Cool.
I think I'm going to mention one more. There were a couple things too that like they were in Cleveland, you know?
Yes, or
but
Cleveland.
Cleveland. But you saw palm trees in some of the shots.
Did you really?
Yes. And on that flight one, when they're going, you're like in the rolling hills and mountainous country of Ohio. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. You could tell they were filming in California.
Mm-hmm.
We've been kind of a bit harsh. So why don't we go a bit over easy and list a few positive things about this movie?
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same thing.
Okay,
like,
good.
what do you think worked?
I think, like I said, the beginning and the end, I really mean it. Like the end of the movie, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. They did the whole pun thing, which I didn't like, but seeing a duck like doing an 80s rock show at the end was kind of fun. That's a fun way to end the movie.
So you mean that very end scene where
Yes.
Leah Thompson and her band are playing?
Yes.
And there's a huge crowd and it's like a better venue than they've played it before.
Because
And you
Howard's
can tell
obviously a
they're
good
successful.
manager.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That felt very 80s.
It was
And
so
not in a
80s.
negative way. Like, I
No,
mean
yeah.
that in a good way.
Like Courtney Cox was going to jump on stage and start dancing with him. You know,
A duck dance.
duck dance. I liked that about it. I really liked the effects. Some of the effects they used, like when you're watching the movie, you're like, "Holy moly, they spent a lot of money making this."
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, "Why did they spend that much money making this?" Like in the next breath, I'm being negative. Sorry. Positive. They had some amazing sets. The set with the giant telescope thing was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you don't like. A lot of movies now too seem practical effects like that. You just don't see them anymore. So it had some really good sets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I really, really loved, my favorite thing about the duck effect was he had like this little feather mohawk kind of. It was like a very subtle feather mohawk on his head.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that. What about you?
Actually, so the demon
Mhm.
makeup,
Mhm.
I thought was really impressive.
Oh, as he progressed from a human and he was degrading?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
okay,
They did a
evolving.
good job on that. It was really creepy and gross.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't enjoy watching it, I could say that they did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, it was top-notch creature feature type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
What else you got?
Um,
Nothing else?
do I need anything else?
You don't need anything else.
Okay. So the fashion of the band,
Mm-hmm.
the 80s band, was really great.
Oh my goodness. Leah Thompson's outfit at the end was it was 80s-tastic.
It was.
So
it was.
80s-tastic.
Yeah, I did like the end scene, partially because I was like, oh, thank goodness it's over.
Yeah. You literally were like, when is this going to end? When is this going to end? You just kept saying
The
that.
plane scene.
You've never done that on any other movie we've been watching, I don't think.
I've got, I was tired.
Yeah. One thing that drove me insane about the ending too, like some of the writing just felt a little patchwork, as we talked about, but like they've well established that the demon character couldn't come onto Earth unless he inhabited a human being.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, when he got shot by the laser, he could be the demon on the planet, which made no sense, but whatever. And then the demons are like heading towards the Earth at the very end where Howard has to make the choice, right? There's literally like 3 or 4 of them coming through the red tunnel, pink tunnel, whatever. And I mean, if they can't survive without a host, just let them land and then die? Or hit them with the laser? Anyway, it felt like you're like, how do we stop this? There's these monsters that jumped out of a plane and they're gonna splatter into the ground and die. So we need to stop this action from happening.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a lot of that.
Yeah.
But another positive thing, you
Mhm.
were like talking about the scenes and the sets.
Yeah.
The diner set was really good
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, like they were in there for a while and the demon kind of did his crazy power stuff there.
Is this one going to become an annual watch for us, you think?
No.
Slow head shake.
No, I don't know why you would think that. What gives you that impression?
Okay, if you lived on a planet that was a different species of animals or creatures, what would your planet be? Not ducks, but...
Oh gosh. Yeah, ducks are so problematic because with the bill and their feathers. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it's fine. Yeah.
I think maybe a possum.
Possum.
Yeah, they have good hands. Their tails are useful.
They do have those really cool thumbs.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you could do your human stuff
Okay.
and go about your human life, but it would be possum.
Mel the opossum.
What about you?
The first thing that popped into my mind is cows. I don't know why. It just popped in my head.
That's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I was steered in the wrong direction. Wow. So what, if any, messages do you think were in this film?
I don't know. I would say good things always come when you take care of someone. Like, that's my favorite part is that even though it's really weird and crazy and gosh, I hope not romantic, when Leah Thompson's character like just takes pity on this creepy, crazy thing in front of her, that's really nice. That's being the best.
He did save her from getting assaulted, so there is that.
That's true. Yeah. Did you find any messages in this movie?
Oddly enough, as I was watching this, with a lot of the way that Howard's treated, I was like, there's definitely a I don't know if it was intentional or not, but there's very much a like, if you're an other, then you're treated differently. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whether it's racism, sexism, whatever, and just the power of accepting people how they are and valuing what they can bring to a situation, even if they're a 3-foot duck.
Wow. Thank you, George Lucas, for bringing us this message.
Wow. I'm so glad that there was a good amount of time to cleanse the palate in between this film and Iron Man.
I'm glad they didn't give up on comic to film adaptations either.
I'm really glad. I look forward to watching other comic to film adaptations in the future.
What one do you want to see most next?
Next?
Yeah.
I mean, probably my favorite one of all time, which you've seen, is Blade.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Blade.
The comic?
No, the movie.
Oh, okay. But did you read the comic?
I did not read the comic, no. Okay. I'm sure I knew it was a comic when I saw the movie. But
what I meant, like, from the comics you've read, which one would you like most to see made into a movie?
I'm really excited about what Marvel's going to do when they finally bring the X-Men in. I grew up reading X-Men comics, and I mean, they've kind of story-wise drawn themselves into a corner because they didn't even acknowledge mutants at all because they didn't have the licensing for it till they bought 20th Century Fox, you know?
Right.
So, also, when did they change the name of that studio company? We're in the 21st century. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to when they do that.
Oh, nice.
Also, as I mentioned, Fantastic Four, if Marvel can actually make a good Fantastic Four, that would be exciting. So
I have high hopes for you.
I do. They did a little teaser of what it would look like in one of the movies recently where they showed an alternate Earth. So anyway, that's what I'm excited about. How about you?
I don't know. I don't read comics, so I don't really have anything that pops into my mind. But I've been enjoying Invincible, which is an animated version. It's not brought to real life, but yeah. I've been enjoying that story and seeing it in that form.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, to future beginnings and not cracking up when we see them.
That's a wrap.
Tell us what you think of this film in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.